gentlemen, we are tonight's entertainment.
Welcome in. Episode 13 of Mike on the Mic. I am a spin-off show of Twist, the weekend sports talk, live interactive show on the RTF Sports Network, Twin Cities Network, and Twist. You can find us on twistsportstalk.com. Check out the show live on Facebook, on Twist and RTF Sports Network. And thank you for tuning in on all the podcast platforms and rtfsportsnetwork.com. Exciting show for you today. We are going to kick it off with Would You Rather. Now, I don't read these before I do the show. Going to keep it organic for you. Would You Rather, episode 13. Would you rather vomit uncontrollably for 1 minute every time you hear the happy birthday song, or get a headache that lasts for the rest of the day every time you see a bird? Now, that includes pictures or a video. Well, I never, ever want to vomit. I'm like one of those disgusting vomiters where it's just horrible. And happy birthday is just every once in a blue moon. Birds are all over the place all the time. So I'll just get a really bad headache every time I see a bird. Would you rather eat a sandwich made from 4 ingredients in your fridge, chosen at random, or eat a sandwich made by a group of your friends from 4 ingredients in your fridge? Well, this is extremely easy to answer. I don't trust anybody. So I'm not letting some buddies compile a bunch of shit to make me eat. So no offense, guys. I'll make my own shit sandwich. Would you rather everyone be required to wear identical silver jumpsuits, or anytime 2 people meet and are wearing an identical article of clothing, they must fight to the death? Oh, this is fantastic. I hate it when, buddies have the same hat. And back in the day, we used to have a rule. If somebody gets something awesome first, it's theirs. You can't go out and buy the same hat that I just got. So I think, if I walking up County Road 5 here in Burnsville, Minnesota, and I see another guy wearing the same outfit as me, it's a fight to the death, sir. Only one of us is getting out of here alive with this amazing fit. So we will do fight to the death. Matthew John Benz, this is a live interactive show. He wrote, "You don't trust me?" Exclamation point. Of course I do, bud. But I don't trust you enough to make me a sandwich out of 4 ingredients out of my fridge other than myself. That was the main point. I trust myself more than I trust other people. At least now, maybe not back in the day. Would you rather be a famous director or a famous actor? Now, if you are listening or watching, you already know this answer. I'm very selfish. I want to be in front of that mic, not behind it. I want to be the famous actor. I want you to be walking by Cub Foods and you see me on People Magazine for my next upcoming film. Would you rather be a practicing doctor or a medical researcher? Again, I want to be a doctor. I want to be the one doing what you're researching, curing the cancer. Would you rather live in a cave or live in a treehouse? Now, have you seen some of the tree houses built today? I mean, they have Wi-Fi, DirecTV, fridges. So a tree house all day. Step Brothers, the movie, it's phenomenal. They had porn in their tree house, so that was pretty sweet. Bears live in caves. Bears are scary. Would you rather be able to control fire or water? Ooh. Probably fire. I just think that's cooler. If I could just make flames with my fists, that'd be pretty awesome. Would you rather live without the internet or live without air conditioning and heating? typically I think this would be an easy answer, except for I live in the Midwest. This is a Minnesota-based show, and it gets very hot and humid in the summer and very cold in the winter. So I'm going to need air conditioning and heating. My co-host Matt Benz actually went without air conditioning. It went out the other day. So he went and got a hotel room for him and his gal last night, and now we're staying at his folks' tonight because air conditioning is that important that if it goes out, it's time to go. It's too hot and humid in these parts. And yeah, so as much as I love the internet, I need to be, comfortable in my space. I'm pretty sure you only have Diet Pop and salad in your fridge. That's true. I do have sparkling water. I was trying to get off the Diet Pop deal. I only typically bring Diet Pop over to your house. It's my cheat days. Diet. But thank you for tuning in, Gail. Appreciate it. She's a longtime viewer and listener of the show. Gotta love that. All right. So 2 more left on Would You Rather. Would you rather be able to teleport anywhere or be able to read minds? I want to teleport anywhere. There was a great movie back in the day where he'd teleport into banks, steal the money, teleport back to his house. I don't want to get into other people's minds. They're crazy as fuck, and I don't really care what they're thinking. Would you rather be unable to use search engines or unable to use social media? I'd rather be unable to use social media. I'm constantly using the search engine, especially when it comes to arguments. We had an argument on our show yesterday on Twist, and Greg got rather lippy because he thought he indeed got the answer correct when he was wrong. So I popped up that Google search engine to throw it in his face that he was a moron, and in fact did get it wrong. So social media is fun, but Google and search engines are much better. So that is it for this week in Would You Rather? We're going to get into some sports stories across the leagues. Now, these aren't always the top headlines, but they're something I find interesting and want to discuss with all of you. I had this up a couple weeks ago, but I never touched on it. Tom Thibodeau is back in the NBA with the New York Knickerbockers. Another horrible move by the Knicks. They can't seem to get anything right. So his stints with the Bulls from 2010 to 2015 and Timberwolves 2016 to 2019, he showed some obvious patterns. The idea is that he'll make the team better with his defensive genius and emphasis on hard work. So in the Wolves case, they had the 3rd worst defensive rating while Tibbs was the coach. He doesn't really like the young players, which is very troubling for the Knicks. That has 3 top 10 picks in the past 3 years and will land a 4th in the upcoming draft. So basically, he's got a team full of young players. Who's going to get out on the court? He just wears out the players. By the time the playoffs start, you could see this with the Bulls. They're tired, man. This isn't the 1980s. That's not how we play basketball anymore, Tom. So good for you that you convinced somebody to hire you and get a job, but I hate your guts. NBA rumors. Nets could acquire Anthony Davis via sign and trade deal with the Lakers in 2020 free agency. So in the proposed trade scenario, the Nets would send Karis LeVert, Spencer Dinwiddie, and Jarrett Allen in exchange for Davis. Now, the Pelicans received from the Lakers to get Anthony Davis, or the Lakers received from the Pelicans, excuse me. They got Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Josh Hart, and not 1, not 2, but 3 first-round picks. So they gave up a haul. If you're telling me that the Nets are only going to give up that much for Anthony Davis, I'm going to say you are crazy. Dwayne, do you smell what The Rock is cooking? Johnson headlines an ownership group that has agreed to purchase the XFL for chump change, $15 million. Wow. That's a yard sale price for the XFL. Not that it's even worth that much necessarily, but for rich people buying it for 15 mil, I think that's a pretty good deal. In a statement, he said he got involved because of my passion for the game and desire to always take care of the fans. He added, with pride and gratitude for all that I built with my own two hands, I plan to apply these calluses to the XFL and look forward to creating something special for the players, the fans, and everyone involved for the love of football. So if you didn't know, The Rock wasn't just an actor. He was in the WWE, and he also played college football at the University of Miami. So I just think it's fun. I love The Rock. Anything he touch, he's like Midas. Anything he touches turns to gold. So I hope for the sake of the XFL that he can do something, get in, and get those calluses dirty, like he likes to say. Jack Del Rio on opt-outs. I have views that wouldn't sit well with my occupation. So the Washington defensive coordinator doesn't want to say what he really thinks about players who are opting out of the 2020 season because of concerns about COVID. He has personal views that probably would not sit well. We all know what Jack's saying. He wants to call them a bunch of pussies. He just can't come out and say it because of his job. College football, we had this debate on our show, Twist. Again, Mike on the Mic is a spinoff show. We all have our own shows on the RTF Sports Network, me being myself. Matt Benz, who's got Benzi's Bit, and Greg Green Bay Bauman. You can go to rtfsportsnetwork.com and check out the Showtime lineups. Joe Burrow, the number one NFL draft pick, Joe Burrow, doesn't plan on spending any of his contract money. So he agreed to a 4-year, $36.2 million guaranteed deal, and he doesn't plan on touching any of it. I'm just going to live off the marketing money and let the accrue in the bank account. Well, good for him. Rob Gronkowski is another big name that did this. He hasn't touched a single penny of any of the paychecks he's gotten in the NFL. Just spends all that marketing dough. To me, that's genius. A lot of these players, former athletes, are broke after, making hundreds of millions of dollars in their career and have nothing to show for it. So they can still be rich. Zion Williamson, I think $100 million Jordan contract. The marketing money is out there for these players, especially a player like Joe Burrow, who was the first overall pick. And what's crazy, he was projected to be a 6th round draft pick heading into a senior season. So he blew up, obviously won a Heisman Trophy and a national championship, blew out a bunch of college football records. So good for him. Some bad news in the NFL. Darius Geis released by Washington shortly after arrest. The Washington football team released, this just drives me crazy at their new name. The Washington football team released running back Darius Geis on Friday night, less than 2 hours after he was arrested on domestic violence charges. According to the county sheriff's office, the charges stem from 3 separate domestic violence-related incidents earlier this year. At Geis's home, so they were first reported by the Montgomery Police Department. Then the sheriff's office was made aware. They did some investigation, and they arrested his dumbass. He was charged with 1 count of strangulation and 3 counts of assault and battery. This is just horrible. He won't be back in the league. You look at a player like Kareem Hunt. He was suspended for a full season, something like that, and is back with the Browns as of last year after his suspension came up. But really, that was one incident. If you look at the reports, he obviously didn't do the right thing, but completely different. Strangulation, domestic battery, 3 different incidences in Geis's case. There's clearly a pattern, and he's clearly psycho and probably not going to get another chance to play in the NFL. Giants, DeAndre Baker charged with 4 counts of robbery. Seahawks Dunbar not charged. So he'll be prosecuted in Florida on 4 counts of robbery with a firearm. If convicted, he faces mandatory minimum of 10 years and up to life in state prison. I doubt he'll get life. Doubt he'll probably get 10 years. So Baker originally was charged with 4 counts of armed robbery and 4 counts of aggravated assault with a firearm. Came about 3 months later that they decide to prosecute him. According to the original arrest warrant, Baker and Seattle Seahawks cornerback Dunbar were accused of stealing money and watches while armed with semi-automatic firearms. These guys are nuts. The warrant stated that Baker intentionally threatened victims with a firearm. I don't know how Baker is getting charged with all this shit and Dunbar is not. Clearly, they didn't have enough to go after Dunbar. He'll still face suspension in the league, but doesn't look like as of now that he is going to get charged or prosecuted. So that's what we got this week for some sports stories. Time to keep it local, Minnesota style. Everson Griffen, my boy, my pal. Seattle has interest in defensive end Everson Griffen, according to NFL Network's Michael Silver. So he's one of the top free agents still out there. I think the Vikings even want to potentially get him back. Seattle, he would be reunited with Coach Carroll. They both came to the NFL, I think, after that season. So that'd be a good fit. Seattle's bringing in some people and doing some things. I'd just like to see him out there playing again. He had a hell of a season last year. So good for you. Get a job. Get some more Quan in that bank account. Bills, Stefon Diggs denies he forced way out of Mini. He also bristled at the notion that he forced his way out of here. When asked what made him believe his current situation would be better than the last, he vocally expressed his displeasure with the Vikings. First off, what were you displeased with, Stefon? I'm pretty sure we signed you to a huge extension before you even eclipsed the 1,000-yard season or a full season. So we put a lot of faith in you that you would do these things. Basically, the Minnesota Miracle or the Minneapolis Miracle got you a fat extension. You crybaby. Quotes from Stefon. As far as my past with Minnesota, I've never actually said anything. You're right. He's not lying here, people. He didn't say anything. He just cryptically tweeted things. This bitch. But to this new situation, I'm excited. There is no right or wrong or problems to be fixed for my old situation. I have a lot of respect for the Vikings. At that time, a trade happened. You've got to kind of look out at it for what it is. But I never really was vocal about what I did or didn't like in Minnesota. Well, I think we made a pretty big statement by sending you to Buffalo. So good luck. Hopefully you brought your parka. The Twins, 40-year-old slugger Nelson Cruz is on a furious RBI pace. So this was as a couple of days ago. He has 3 homers, 15 RBIs. That's 15 RBIs in 11 games. Now that is a pace. That's 162 game pace of 221 RBIs. Obviously, we're not playing that many games this year, but for the sake of a full season, that's what it would look like. This season, he has 14 for 19, 737 with runners on base. That is the most hit in players' first 19 at-bats with runners in the expansion era. So that's 1961 till now. Twins are about 20% of their schedule done. So he'd be on pace to drive in more runs than games played. Good for you, man. 40 years old, just getting it done. First-round prospect Rashad Bateman opts out of 2020 college football season. All Big Ten performer who is considered a likely first-round pick in the 2021 NFL Draft. Quote from Bateman, "I'm now making the hardest decision I have ever made to make in my life. In the light of uncertainty around the health and safety in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, I have set my wishes aside for the wellness of my family, community, and beyond." Last year, he caught 60 passes for 1,200 yards and 11 touchdowns. You know, if this was a normal college football season, I might be more devastated. I love Tanner Morgan. He's going to be without 2 of his top receivers this year. But really, it's a 10-game, just rando kind of season. So Bateman, The difference between college football and the NFL with the players opting out is the NFL, they already have their money and they're receiving a little, chump change to opt out. Bateman hasn't gotten anything yet. So get your mind right, get your body right, opt out, get ready, be a first round pick, and have a great, great career in the NFL. That's what I got for keeping it local. I added something new this week, mainly just for this player that I want to touch on, a rising star. Michael Porter Jr. Now, I've loved this dude for a long time. So against Oklahoma City, Porter dropped a career-high 37 points on 12 of 16 shooting from the field. So he was just shy of 40 points, but he did all of that on 16 shots. 37 points on 16 shots. He had 12 boards as well. So then against the Spurs, 30 points on 19 shots and 15 boards. So he was scoring the ball at ease, crashing the boards, getting easy buckets. He is still a rookie because when you watch him, he's the best player on the floor. This dude is a beast. So out of high school, he's 6'10", 210 pounds. 5 stars from everybody, scouting, ESPN's, Rivals.com, 24/7 Sports. He had an ESPN grade of 97. Before his injury at Missouri, he was a first-round pick anyway, 14th overall to the Denver Nuggets. But he made a case to be one of the best, he was one of the best players in that draft. It was a back injury, man. It was hard to gauge on if he was going to be healthy and what his long-term career was going to look like. But the talent has always been there. When you're 6'10", and he's not some beefy number 4, in the paint, grabbing boards, he's quick. He's got a stroke. He's 205, 210 pounds. So he's a 3. You look at a player like Kevin Durant, there was a lot of comparisons there with him. When you're 6'10" and you got that reach, that's why he's getting boards, because he's long, he's lanky, and he can stroke, folks. So that's my rising star. Just wanted to touch on him. Hands down, one of the best players in the bubble right now. So respect to him. Over under. So we're going to finish off this week on the AFC over under with the AFC West. We are going to start with the Denver Broncos. So over under 20 touchdown passes for Drew Lock. He'll have a lot to overcome this year. He's got some weapons. He's going to have a full season if he stays healthy at that starting quarterback position. So 20 touchdown passes really isn't, if you can't hit 20 touchdown passes as a starting quarterback in the NFL, you're not going to have a job for long. So I'm going to give Drew Lock the over on 20 touchdown passes this year. The Kansas City Chiefs, over under 1,099.5 receiving yards for Travis Kelce. Kelce's gone well over 1,100 yards in each of Mahomes' 2 seasons as the Chiefs starting quarterback. I'm not betting against Patty Mahomes. I'm not betting against the Chiefs. And I'm not betting against Travis Kelce. I will go over 1,099.5 yards. He will get over 1,100 yards yet again this year. The Las Vegas Raiders. Over under 5 receiving touchdowns for Henry Ruggs. So Ruggs was the first receiver off the board in the draft this year. Caught me off guard. I was extremely surprised by that, but they obviously love his speed, and we'll see how it translates. 5 touchdowns. I'll go over. They don't have a lot of weapons there either, so he's going to get a lot of targets, and I will say over. 3 in a row on overs. Lastly, AFC West to finish off our over-under AFC NFL division segment. The Los Angeles Chargers. Over-under 999.5 receiving yards for Keenan Allen. So will Keenan Allen get over 1,000 receiving yards this year? I'm going to go under on this. I don't think he'll stay healthy enough to do it. So sorry, Chargers. You were the only one not getting it for me that time. TV show review. So this is a live interactive show. I need you to leave your comments. I don't have a review for you this week. I want some recommendations from my listeners. So I have a few that I'm thinking about. Vikings, I know it's an older show. I believe it's still going on. I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan and love those kind of shows. The Last Kingdom on Netflix is a damn good show. So I know I like that kind of stuff. Just wondering if Vikings would be one I would enjoy. Another one is Little Fires Everywhere. Believe that's a show on Hulu. Kind of looked intriguing. Just wondering if it's worth my time. Perry Mason is a brand new one on HBO. I've heard nothing but good things. I do have HBO, so I will probably check that out. Succession on HBO. I just watched the very first episode last night, and that seemed very intriguing. I liked that one. So again, I'm looking for recommendations now from you guys. Peaky Blinders. That's on Netflix. I think there's 5 or 6 seasons. I got into it briefly a few years ago, but heard it picks up 3rd season, 4th season. So again, just wondering, I'm trying to find some TV shows to watch. And then if I agree down the line, then I'll review them and can give good feedback for you. So another one, Handmaid's Tale. I'm not sure which platform this is on, but I've heard from a few people it might be worth checking out. So I'm just wondering, leave some comments now, later, whatever. Let me know what's good. Get at me. I like to end every show here on Mike on the Mic with a random fact, little nugget for you to take home. Tell your wife, tell your buddy, tell your boss. The longest wedding veil was the same length as 63.5 football fields. Holy shit. When Maria, I'm going to botcher her last name, a woman from Cyprus, got married in August of 2018, her goal wasn't just to say I do. She was also determined to set a record. Her quote, "My dream as a child has always been to take a break, to break the Guinness World Record title for the longest wedding veil. She fulfilled her dream by wearing a lace veil that stretched 22,843 feet and 2.11 inches, or as long as 63.5 football fields." Well, good for you. Hope the marriage is going well. You got a Guinness Book of World Records, so proud of you. Thank you for tuning in to another episode 13 of Mike on the Mic. Thank you, Twin Cities Network, RTF Sports Network, and our parent show, Twist, the Week in Sports Talk. It's been a fun one, folks. We'll see you next week.